Whenever we want to add items into our database or into our collection or documents, what we do is we create hash maps. Let's go back to where we create our hash map. So we create a hash map and we add items to it, and then we pass it on to our reference. You can see that this method, although works, it's not the best way, because in production applications, it's much better to create a class, a model class that will emulate an actual entity. In this case would be the object that we could call, for instance, a thought or journal. Okay, so that is probably the best way to do that. What are we going to do now? We are going to actually create a class inside of our Java. We're going to create a model class, a new Java class like that. I'm going to call this journal. There we go. So this will have two items or two fields. The first one is going to be string. Let's say private string title. I'm going to say another private string thought. Okay, let's go create a constructor with all of those. But the most important thing here also is important to remember is that we must have an empty constructor for Firestore. Okay, this is a big must. So I'm gonna say public constructor, just enter one, but I'm gonna just get rid of anything that we're passing there. So this is important because Firestore in the background will need something empty, a constructor that is empty, so that it can do its own thing. Okay, so this is just a must thing to do. Don't you ever forget to do this, otherwise you're gonna have a lot of problems. Very good. And of course we need to also get getters and setters. So getters and setters for both of those two, and voila, that's good. So now we have our journal object, or class in this case, is not an object yet, that we can use. So going back to our main activity here, that means at this point here I can come down and say journal, right? Say journal is equal to new journal as such, and I can go ahead either start adding items to our journal or just say journal dot set title and pass the title as such, and journal dot set thought and pass like this and pass our thought. Okay, there we go. So at this point here we don't need our map. I'm just going to go ahead and comment that out and change the set to our journal object that we created at the top. Everything stays the same, but also where we retrieve our object, let's see, update my title. So at this point here we don't need to do this. So what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and comment this out, because we have an object right now, or we have access to a journal object. I'm going to instantiate another journal object here, say journal, now, and say is equal to, we have our document snapshot here, but this is a different type. Okay, but look what we're going to be doing. I'm going to call it document snapshot, and there is a method in there that calls to object, and then we pass the object journal. So I'm going to say journal.class. So what this is doing is just mapping our document snapshot document in this case, which has a different format, and mapping it to our journal class, which has those two fields. So now this journal is indeed an object that we got from snapshot here. Okay, that's it. So at this point here, we can go directly, just say here journal dot get title. Look at that. I can say journal dot get thought, like that. Looks like we can produce some sort of error there. Let's just put inside of if statement. There we go. And just put it all inside, I guess. Let's cut that and put it like this. All right, so once we have this code, I'm going to copy all of this because we need to change where we have our on start. Let's see. On start. There we go. So inside of on start, inside here, I'm just going to go ahead and paste it all there. We create our journal from our document snapshot, and we are indeed setting our text views. If you save this and give it a run, you notice nothing really has changed, but at least we know that a lot has changed in the sense that the way we're adding our data inside of our collection is the better way, meaning we're using a class model as opposed to using a map. Okay, let's keep going here just to test things out. Creating from class is better to create objects like this. Just gibberish. Let's go ahead and say save, and voila. And you see, so everything still works. In fact, if you were to just to look at his app like this, you would not know that we've changed the structure of how we agglomerate the data before we actually send to the server. There we go. So now you've learned a new thing here. So it's always advantageous to always create an actual model class so that we can use it this way, because as we create production applications that require a little bit more than just the basics, then you'll see that this will be a lifesaver. All right, I'll see you next video.